Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is a Bible verse that we all know. This is something that I find myself looking at all the time, reading and trying to understand, because we see the times as certain things. And the Father said, I want you to look at it differently, daughter. So he brought to me Genesis 41, the entire chapter. And he began to ask me, are you prepared? And are my people prepared? And I said, what do you mean? Right now, people are trying to interpret the times. Famine, sure. Food scarcity, sure. Money insecurities. The Fed may do this, they may do that. Inflation, income, all these different things are changing. Because we're seeing our leaders seeing these moments of plentiful blessings. We're seeing our leaders find that there are some areas where the plentiful blessings are being ate up by those things that haven't been nourished, by those things that haven't been fed. We're finding that those times of harvest and plentifulness is being ate up. And if you want to look at it in the interpretation of the world, we're finding ourselves going into the bubble. This big moment of wonderful blessings, everything is amazing. Those 7 cows that look fine and look good, they're going to be eaten up by all of this inflation, the taxes, the penalties, all these other words that we're hearing, the magicians and statisticians of our day warning us. The interest rate is going up, it's going down, deflation, inflation, all of these different terms. And what is the world telling us to do? Borrow, borrow, borrow. And I'm definitely one who is a victim. Because I have found that I have a line of credit that can instantly and quickly be inflated with every payment that I make that's on time. And now I'm finding that I am eating up the blessing and the harvest because I'm constantly eating from the fat that's out there, which is the credit. Because when there's an issue, they have to quickly inflate. They have to quickly bring a flood of cash saying, look, if you keep feeding the system with your money, we're going to be able to make more money out of it. Because if you look at the financial system, in order for the banks to make money, they need you to put money in these accounts. So you have more accounts being open, you have more lines of credit being used, because in order for that company over there to make money, you have to open an account over here, because now right there in the middle, the bank is getting ready to make money for them and then give you an interest. That's what the world wants us to conform to. The world wants us to go with the same old system. And we constantly find ourselves being in depression and recession, just like we see with the 7 cows. They come forth and they put a depression and recession into the system and into the world. Because now all of these stimulants and stimulations and all these things that they are doing with the system is beginning to be eaten up now. Because there was no wisdom. There was no strategy. They didn't seek the Father. They sought the wise men and yeah, I said it on purpose. They sought the wise men and the magicians of their time, the statisticians, the accountants, those who have so many degrees. But you still can't find an answer on what to do. So then he asks, well, what are you doing, daughter? I'm making sure that I am blessing the mouth of God, which is the servant who has been placed in my presence. My supervising priest, I sow my teruma. A lot of people don't know or believe in the teruma, but I am seeing myself even in a time where I'm stepping out of line and I am conforming to this world. But the Father is saying you can conform to it, but you have to find yourself with constraint and discipline. So are you sowing? Are you looking for that leader who knows the time and who is putting things in place to make sure that they can tap into those reservoirs so that the community and the churches and the people can eat? I'm serving in a service and in a church that does that. I have a box of vegetables that come. That's coming from a harvest, something that was being stored up, that is now replenishing those who are operating in the kingdom's system. Give and I'll give it back to you. Pressed down in good measure, shaken together, runneth over, shall men give into your bosom. So then he said, well, look at the leaders. Who are the leaders turning to? They're turning to the magicians, the statisticians of the day. But are they turning to the leaders in the church, and are they turning to God? Are they looking to God for that wisdom? Are they looking to God for that insight? Are they looking for God on what to do? Because it's not just money that we're seeing you're having issues with. It's a behavior issue now. Because now everybody has erratic behaviors. They are conforming to the world, and they are being consumed by how the world is saying you should deal with these things. Violence, anger, pranks, theories. And you're finding more and more people conforming to this world and not being transformed by the renewing of their mind to get out of the old system. So is your leader going to NNC? Is your leader going to the statisticians and the accountants and the KNABs? Or are they going to the Father and saying, I'm going to tap into the kingdom's reservoir because it is filled and it is plentiful? And then you have to ask yourself, is this leader who is here, are they being given all of the things that they're supposed to be given? Because then you're seeing that people who are coming forward with all this insight are being hanged and hung, right? Isn't that what the scripture says? Because a lot of times we keep thinking that conforming to this world is just the negative things, but the Father is saying, I know the thoughts I have to you, thoughts to prosper you, plans to prosper you and not harm you. He's giving us all of the answers that we need for everything, but we only want to trust God with certain things instead of trusting him with everything. So ask yourself, are you conforming to this world, or are you being transformed by the renewing of your mind to a different behavior pattern? Because what we saw, Pharaoh had a behavior pattern and a system that he kept going to. He kept going to the magicians and the statisticians. He kept going to the world to find the answer. But it wasn't until he began to renew his mind and said, let me seek the face of God. Bring me this man who can interpret what it is. Because there are leaders out here who are telling you what you should do, but you don't want to talk to them or listen to them because they're telling you to do something that is outside of your realm of thinking and thought. Because outside of your realm of thinking and thought is not to give to that man of God or that woman of God who is actually feeding you the information that you need. How many ministers, pastors, bishops, apostles, all these people in the church, how many people are saying, hey, come over here. We're about to come and have a conversation on how to create your reservoirs of 1/5 of your increase. How many of the pastors and the preachers are saying, look, it's not that there's a food scarcity. You just have to change what you eat. Because it's not the fact that MC is running out of this. It's the fact that the world is running out of this because people don't want to work over here. So what can you do for your home so that you don't have to always find yourself at MC? Stay at home and cook. So what are you seeing? Are you seeing some of these leaders bringing in some chefs saying, hey, here's a recipe that you can use just using vegetables to make food for your house? Are you seeing in any of the apostles, the teachers, the bishops, all these clergymen telling you what to do when your child wants to act crazy? Because right now it's a behavior issue. It's a systematic issue. Nobody knows what to do because the system is going awry. So it has to create confusion. It has to create that chaos so that you think, oh, I got to worry about this. But all the while behind the scenes, they're automatically counting out certain people for certain things because in their mind, when there's a famine, recession, depression, it's cut off certain people. Let's do away with the bottom 30%. So then he asked me again. He said, what else do you see, my daughter? What do I see? When you stand in the realm as the voice of God, that speaker of God, that promotion comes from him. Because isn't that what the Bible says? The promotion comes from above. How many people are promoting themselves and what they're thinking and what you should do versus seeking the Father and letting him promote you? Because wasn't it the Father who put Joseph in front of Pharaoh based off his gifts and his talents? Not the degrees. That man just came right out of jail. And guess what? He got the insight for the entire kingdom to where now he is elevated to where he is responsible for the reserves. He's responsible for the money. And the money isn't always the physical paper or the commodity. The money is a consciousness in the thought process because the word says be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your what? He didn't say renew your money. He didn't say renew your car. He didn't say renew your membership. He didn't say renew this for this. He didn't say renew how you do this. He said transform and renew your mind. So now, are you renewing your consciousness? Are you tapping into a reservoir of a consciousness that hasn't been done before? Because now you're going to find that you're the one that everybody comes to be fed. Because isn't that what happened to the kingdom? They don't got it over there, but they're going to come over here because you may not have it all the way. Yeah, you may not have the corn, but you got the potatoes. And the potatoes may not be in the food specifically. You have the insight and you have the wisdom. You have the revelation. You have the value in your voice, in your mind, in your consciousness for what you've been through. But what you've been through may not be what they consider something that is valuable to the world. But what you've been through some hard times. You were thrown in the jail, which they're going to try to do to you. But you know how to get out of it by being truthful, by standing on the word of God. Yes, somebody said they was going to give you something because you gave them some insight before. But now you're going to find yourself being passed up by them. But you're going to be brought to the person you're supposed to be brought to. Because promotion comes from him. It don't come from the world. So you keep seeing all of these people wanting to promote themselves as the best advisors, the best behavior specialists, the best person for this, the best person for that. But how many of them are going before the Father or going before their leaders who are in the church who are saying, no, this is not what you do. No, your child want to take this challenge. You don't whoop them. You don't snatch things because then it's going to make them want to do it. That's just behavior. That's just what we do. So now you give them so much stuff that they're not even thinking about the world and all these pranks and all these things going on, because now they are being stimulated by learning. They are being stimulated by understanding that if I do this, I'll get this. I don't need to have the chip, because right now all they want is attention. So they're going to take the chip to make it seem like I'm big dog, I'm big dude, I'm big girl. I could do this, I could do that. They just want the attention. But if you give them attention at home, they won't have to seek the attention from their peers, because now they already know what positive attention looks like. They know what positive consequences look like, because consequences are good, bad, or indifferent. So are you seeking the leaders in the church who are conforming to God's principles and renewing their mind and transforming it here on earth so that they follow what Father is saying? So every time we see be not conformed to this world, we think of the things that are, I want to say a lot of the times, just literal. Just, oh, okay, that's what it is. It's automatic. But are you going to go deeper? Because Joseph went deeper. He began to interpretate all of the years that it took. He began to interpret what needed to be done. And then he began to do some things that they were looking at like, this is far-fetched. This is unheard of course. Because sure, there's nothing new under the sun, just like the system. But a change and a transformation is not new either. Just how it is interpreted and implemented is. So ask yourself, are you conforming to this world when you're seeing that this is the moment where all of the good is being eaten up by all of the negative? Because yes, it's more good out here than it is negative, but how much attention are you putting on these two different pictures? Are you putting all of the attention on what's negative and saying, oh, woe is me? Or are you saying, if he did it before, he can do it again. If he did it before, he can do it again. He gave you those 7 years of plentifulness. You don't think he's going to give you that 7 years of plentifulness again? It may not be in the state that you thought, but it's still going to be plentiful, because while you're sitting there, right? While you're sitting there eating your spaghetti and you have to make it last for 3 days, it's somebody who's over here bartering for a carton of eggs. If you look in your refrigerator and it's full, it's somebody over there whose refrigerator is full of nothing but cold air, and sometimes not even that. So are you going to say, I'm still living plentiful? Because yes, we eating spaghetti for the next 3 days, but pretty soon we'll be able to go to a restaurant to get spaghetti, because we're not going to indulge. Because that's what we need to change when we see this system coming forth. Don't find yourself indulging in the things of the world, but be inspired by the Spirit to do something different. Like changing how you eat, changing how you drive, changing how you walk, how you talk, changing how you treat people. Because even that is a behavior issue, because you can go outside and not even speak to somebody, and next thing you know, they want to hit you in the back of the head. What's wrong with just saying, hey? Not because you're scared, but that's just a nice thing to do. The kind thing to do, just say, hey. So what if they're going to have an attitude or they feel like you should have said, hey? So what? Let them have that. Turn the other cheek. Because that's something that we're not seeing the world doing. They're not turning the other cheek. And I don't mean just take the beating, but I'm saying turn the other cheek. Because some of these situations we cause by feeling like we got to be, But a great fall comes from a swell of pride. So if you have your pride so big that you can't just go and be kind to somebody who wants to be nasty, then you're going to find yourself not being blessed, because he said, bless those who do what to us? Feed those who are what? These are the blessings and the benefits and the principles that we are supposed to be transformed to here on this earth by our mindset and our consciousness being changed and not allowing it to be how it was based off of going to see the magicians, the statisticians, and everybody has, oh, see, look, back in such and such, back in such and such. Remember this? Remember that? Yeah, we remember all of that. But is that going to work for now? Probably not. Because if you look at it, we going to go look back at all the conversations where they all keep saying, back then, back then. But how many people you know step into plentiful harvest and create and do something new all the time? Because as soon as they figure it out, the people who can't figure it out want to come and take it, don't they? They want to come and put in all of these different, all these laws. And oh, you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to come over here and pay taxes on this. All right, bet. Well, the new tax code that y'all created last year that y'all forgot about said I don't have to do that because of this. Because you're not being conformed to this world and trying to fight something. You're going to take it to the Father, and you're going to find yourself under that leader who can discern the times based off what the Father is saying, not based off what the world is saying, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. So ask yourself, are you being conformed to this world? Or are you being conformed to the kingdom by renewing and transforming your mind, your behavior patterns, your attitudes, your spirit, your work ethic? All of these things can be changed at an instant. But you have to be willing, because at the end of the day, you got to be a living sacrifice. Because we're going to have all of these things with what? Persecution. So are you willing to face the persecution knowing that there's a blessing in the harvest at the end, because you're about to do something different? That everybody else is going to look at you and say, oh my God, no. But what they're going to do, they're going to run to the statisticians and the magicians so that they can go and analyze everything that you did. But the truth can't be analyzed. It makes you free. It's indisputable. You can't change the truth, but you can definitely manipulate it by trying to add facts. But you still can't, because you can't argue with the truth. But you can argue with a fact. So are you going to hold on to the facts of the world, or are you going to be conformed and transformed by the renewing of your mind by the Father and what his truth says? That's just my thought process, because a lot of the times we want to run to what is obvious with the word. I'm not going to conform to this word. I'm not about to smack you. Okay, sure. But if you look deeper, why did you feel like you had to slap him in the first place? Because you have to conform and do what the world says. But if you change and transform your thought process and your thinking and your mind, you won't even be in a situation where you feel like you got to slap somebody. Because you're going to grow above that and say, I don't even need to go here. Because every time I go, I want to slap somebody. That's a clear sign that you're still in the wrong place anyway. So the God in me salutes the God in you. I didn't mean to make this video this long. It's just fascinating to me to see how the Father begins to show us that a lot of times we want to put and apply the word to something that is obvious versus going deeper into the depths of the Father. Still waters run deep, right? So the God in me salutes the God in you. God bless. Stay safe. Peace.